everyone, welcome back. For those who I haven't met yet, my name is Jeremy Dela Cruz. And on behalf of Next Niagara Council, I'd like to welcome you to Discovering You, a passion and purpose workshop facilitated by Andrea Sacco. Andrea studied public health at Brock University and is currently pursuing a full-time career in the field of public health and health promotion. She's also the founder of You Empowered Tomorrow, which she founded after noticing through her job experiences a repeat pattern of individuals feeling unworthy and unsure of what they wanted to do in life, career, and education. So I'll pass it over to you, Andrea, and everyone enjoy the presentation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome being here for a second year in a row. Today we're going to be going through the Passion and Purpose workshop, as you've mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I do want to warn everyone, I am a talker and I like to make a lot of engaging presentations. So please, please, please use the chat throughout the presentation and contribute to all of the worksheets and interactive materials. So can everyone see my screen? Perfect. Not sure how to access the chat again, so I might need someone to read any chats that do come in as they come in.
I gotcha.
Perfect, thank you. All right. Well, thank you for the great introduction. My name is Andrea Sacco. I am the founder of You Empower Tomorrow. Ultimately, I use empowerment education to really help individuals with their career, life, just some of those questions to really feel empowered and discover what your passion and purpose is in this world and how you can go about achieving that. I know when we get an introduction, a lot of the time we're talking about, hey, this is my job. Hey, I went to school for this. And my introduction said all of that in it very clearly. However, I want to switch the narrative around that today. So I'm going to give you all the opportunity to really think about this in your head. Who are you really outside of being a worker or an entrepreneur or a mom or a sister or a brother? Think about who you really are. So here are some photos of my personal life, things that I really enjoy and love. I am a huge foodie, so I actually run the Niagara Eats, which is an Instagram platform with my cousin Claudia. We go out to tons of restaurants. I am super close to my family. I come from an Italian family, so you can see my nonna in the bottom corner there. I like to travel. I recently went to Alberta and Thailand. I am working hard on my healing journey, and that involves inner child work. So I included a child picture there. And then of course a business photo, because although that is not what defines me completely, it is a huge component of my life. So I want you to just take a really brief second right now to think about who you are outside of those labels that you've been given by yourself or by other people. You can share them in the chat, or you can just think about those in your head or throughout the presentation. All right, so here is the workshop outline that we're going to be covering today. So chapter 1 is the basics. I'm going to do a lot of talking and just give you a really brief overview of some strategies and definitions that will be discussed. It's really important to have this basic chapter at the beginning of the workshop just to have a fulsome understanding moving forward. Chapter 2 will go into the past. So really learning and discovering what has made you to be the way that you are, stemming from your childhood, your interests, and how you can use that in the present. So that leads into chapter 3, being the present. The goal of chapter 3 is to really recognize any limiting beliefs or barriers that you have from moving forward or incorporating your passion and purpose into your current life. And then chapter 4 is the future. So it's learning about our passions and our purposes and wondering and coming up with a plan as to how we can really integrate those in our day-to-day lives. Lastly, we will close off with an intention statement or just a goal moving forward that you want to achieve with this workshop. I did mention this in my live that I did on Instagram with Next Niagara yesterday, but if you do not take every chapter of this, that is completely okay. If you take one sentence of what I say today, that sentence was meant for you. So please don't feel like you need to follow every single slide word by word or take notes down. I want you to really just embrace what I'm saying and take what you need. All right, I also want to mention that this is a very safe place. So there's going to be opportunity to share, and I encourage you to please use the chat to share. but please be mindful and respectful of others. This is a safe place, and I want to get you connected to resources. If you do feel overwhelmed or triggered at any point in time, please feel free to just exit the workshop and reach out to me separately, or there's tons of people here who can support you as well. Right, let's listen to me chat a little bit more. So the basics, we're going to get into empowerment education, which is pretty much the foundation of You Empower Tomorrow. So empowerment education essentially used to be used very often in junior kindergarten. We would empower little ones to do this and sit in circle time and sing and color. And you wouldn't do it for them, but you would teach them how to do it on their own. As we get older, this dynamic changes. We forget to empower people. We forget to teach them the skills on their own. And instead we become controlling, or we become bossy in the sense where we need to teach and do it for them to prove our own self-worth, or to just prove that we know better. So my approach to my client coaching and my workshop is to give you the tools and strategies as opposed to me doing it for you. Now, passion versus purpose, it's important to know the difference between the two before we get started. So passion, I like to define as the what. What are the things that you're doing that are helping you fulfill the purpose, which is the why? So passion makes your life bright and exciting, but life without a purpose is aimless. So you're going to constantly be wondering, because you won't know exactly what your passions are unless you know your purpose in this life. Passion is emotionally driven, where purpose is more of your reason for being. And it's really hard to really determine what your passion versus purpose versus all of the things happening in life are. So hopefully by the end of today, you'll have a few different techniques to do that. I like to include an example here because it does get a little bit complicated. But my passion essentially would be me here facilitating this workshop for all of you, where my purpose is more of that bigger picture. My purpose is to really empower individuals to follow their dreams. And my passion is helping me live out in that purpose. It's okay if you're confused. I was confused for a very long time too. So we're going to get a little deeper into what passion looks like. So there are 6 characteristics of passion development. And yes, I said development, because passion is not something that you always find or wake up with, but sometimes you have to build skills to really develop that passion. Passion often develops accidentally. So you might be out with a friend, you might be going for a walk, and then you end up on a hike and you realize, wow, I really like this. Passion takes encouragement and exposure. So really feeling like you're doing well, getting that clap, getting that praise for really doing something that you feel you're comfortable doing. Passion isn't always enjoyable. So sometimes it might be something very frustrating. It might be something that is not quite getting you the output that you want at the time. So it's not always enjoyable. It doesn't require talent or skill at first. It's an opportunity to learn talent and skill. Passion takes practice. So practice makes perfect. When we continuously practice and follow in our passions, that's when doors will open and new opportunities arise. And purpose amplifies passion. So when we work hard to achieve our life purpose, whatever that might be, it's going to amplify your passion. It's going to open so many more doors that you didn't even know possible, so that you could fulfill that passion in your life. Purpose, on the other hand, is within us. It is extremely powerful, and it's what guides us to discover and develop our true passions. When we carry in our purpose, our passions come flooding in, like I mentioned. So those doors will just open. So some of the ways to help you discover your purpose and some techniques that I'm going to show you are meditation, journaling, shadow work, inner child work, and cognitive behavior techniques. Ultimately, a way to discover your purpose is to really dive deep within. I want you to take a moment now and please put it in the chat, a word to describe how you want to feel in 5 years. Not where you want to be, not where you see yourself working, but how you essentially want to feel. And I will go first by saying, I want to feel fulfilled in 5 years. So open the floor to you to put in the chat some ways that you want to feel. I do see the chat. Fabulous. Happy. Love that. Anyone else want to share? Challenge. That's great. Inspired. Amazing. So keep them coming. Keep them coming in the chat. It's a great opportunity for you to even meet some other people and see how so many people want to feel that ultimate happiness and fulfillment in their life. So using that as your end goal is a nice starting point to discovering your purpose moving forward. Thank you for those who have shared. All right. We're going to go into the past because unfortunately, in order to move through, we have to go back. We have to go back and make friends with our old past self. So some of the ways that you can do this is by doing shadow work. So shadow work is really about getting in touch with the pieces of yourself that you've repressed. So it's giving voice to your inner child and unconscious material that shape our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And it gives us the opportunity to really think clearly about why we feel the way that we do in situations or when things arise. So it really helps you identify your triggers. You're going to think about why in this situation am I acting the way that I am? Why am I feeling so deeply about something? And it's recognizing that, noticing it, and making it new. So a technique I usually do with my clients that involves shadow work is notice, note, new. You're going to notice that something is triggering you or bothering you. You're going to take note of it. You're going to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And you're going to make it new. You're either going to change that thought, you're going to think or challenge yourself to do something different in that moment. Doing shadow work is hard and it's going to bring up a lot of emotions. So I had to include this meme in here because it's not always going to be fun. Discovering these pieces of you, think about yourself as like an onion. Over the years, you've been piled and piled and piled with layers and layers to you. So uncovering that to see what's underneath is going to be difficult because these are things that you've held on to for years and years and years. So be super compassionate with yourself throughout the process of integrating any of these strategies in your own personal life. Another great strategy or technique that I like to include in my sessions, and I encourage you to try even on your own, is doing some inner child work. So inner child work is trauma-informed approach to uncovering and releasing the causes for your triggers. So this is asking yourself the why. Why am I feeling the way that I am? Why am I acting the way that I am? Is it because when I was little, something had happened to me that this is reminding me of that situation? It could be that maybe mom and dad weren't present in your life, and now you're seeing that your significant other is not always present in the relationship, and it's bringing back a lot of those feelings from childhood. It could be a variety of things. Even in your career, you can see this come out, where maybe you're not getting the praise that you want from your boss. And then you think back, well, when did I feel like this the last time? And it's like, oh, well, maybe dad or guardian didn't give me that praise, or they only gave me that praise and that's when I felt love. So really thinking deeply about all of those things that cause us to react or feel a certain way. It's nice to pair inner child work with shadow work because shadow work is about really recognizing and changing it, but inner child work is asking yourself a little bit more information about why that is occurring. Another great technique is CBT. So CBT stands for cognitive behavior therapy. And here are a few techniques that you can integrate in your own life. You can integrate with a therapist or a coach. You can integrate with a nurse, or just like I mentioned on your own, just doing some journaling and different ways of tying that in. So I do want to differentiate the difference between the cognitive piece and the behavior piece. So the cognitive piece refers to the process of learning and understanding through our experiences. So what we take in through our five senses, essentially, what we're thinking about, what we're smelling, what we're hearing, what we're seeing, what is happening in our heads when that moment is occurring. Behavior is referring to the way that we act because of what we're seeing and experiencing. So integrating some CBT techniques gives us the opportunity to really manage our perceptions and interpretations. So you might be seeing something or hearing something or being involved in a situation, and it gives you the opportunity to flip or change your behavior in accordance to that. So it's really hard to start learning these strategies. And I think it all stems essentially from becoming aware and integrating the work in a baby step process. But CBT has amazing results, and doing this with a professional is the best way to really work through a lot of that past hurt and trauma in your own life. Here are some journal prompts that you can use. So feel free to take a picture on your phone, a screenshot on your laptop. I could also send these out after to the team at Next Niagara to send out. But these are a few journal prompts incorporating those 3 strategies that you can start with to get a baby feel for how it is using these different techniques. So if you want to start tapping into inner child work, here's a question that you can journal about in the morning or before bed. If you want to do CBT work, or if you want to do shadow work. So like I said, feel free to take a photo of these and try it on your own time. This is a nice, safe way to begin integrating this into your life. All right, conditioning. This one is a beast. So ultimately, we are born to believe this idea of this big lie that our society and our childhood and our upbringing didn't really influence who we are today. A lot of people will say, well, I am the way I am, and that's all. And although, yes, you are the way you are, so many things in our life has shaped you to be who you are. So like I mentioned, that onion, it's peeling back those layers to recognize, oh my gosh, I believe this because my parents told me that. I believe this because society told me that. I believe this because a teacher told me that. So our conditioning is based on so many different people in our life. It could be friends, family, environment, culture, religion. So many things have made us who we are. And sometimes it gets a little bit mumbo jumboed. Sometimes we have so many influences in our life that we kind of forget who we are underneath all of that. So really taking a moment to think, do I believe in this because I want to believe in this? Or am I believing in this because I was told by X, Y, and Z to believe in this? So if you really take the time to reflect on how much of what we do and think did not originate from us, it really opens your eyes to who you are underneath it all. I did put a little preface here about how this can be very challenging. Looking through belief systems is really, really hard, especially when it comes from family and culture, because sometimes when we make changes in our lives to be more in alignment with our authentic selves, it causes a lot of anger and resentment towards our family members and vice versa. They might not agree with some of the decisions we're making moving forward, and you're not going to be agreeing with some of the decisions that they put on you. So do this with ease. Triggers. Triggers in the mental health is a mental health term, essentially referring to something that has affected your emotional state, often significant by causing extreme overwhelm or distress. So a trigger will affect your ability to remain present in the moment. And a trigger is that one moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to react in this way. That just triggered you because you felt something, it reminded you of something, or a belief system came up to defend you or protect you, and you automatically felt triggered. A lot of the time, triggers are a result of trauma. Now, trauma can be big T trauma or little t trauma. And I like to differentiate between the two because we all have trauma in our lives. Just because something extravagant or huge hasn't happened that's caused a big, big trauma in our lives, every day we live little traumas. We live right now in a world that just went through a pandemic. So we have all experienced a big T trauma, and that's going to affect us moving forward. So it's important to recognize those traumas and give yourself some grace and love process. Think about little you and how they had to really cope and make changes in their lives to deal with that trauma that they've experienced. And I do want to say again that that big T event and that little T event are very different, but yet the same. So that big T event can be a plane crash or a sudden loss of somebody that you love, but a little T event can be experiencing a breakup or the loss of a pet. It can be just as traumatic as something so huge. So giving yourself that grace to really say, hey, I'm experiencing a trauma. And no matter what that is, it's going to look like different things to different people. It's still valid and important. I had to include this in here because it's all the trauma. We all have trauma, and there's a lot of different ways that caused us to be and react the way that we are. So taking a little bit more of a lighter turn on things and being a little bit more forgiving with ourselves. All right, here is an opportunity for you to use the worksheet that I can toss in the chat for you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a brief moment and attach a document. So you should all receive a PDF that looks like this. Feel free to follow along on the PDF or on your phone, in your notes, or on a piece of paper, whatever you have handy. You can actually draw and add text directly to the PDF if you open it in your web browser. And we're going to do a little bit of an activity together. So feel free to just follow along with me and complete it on your own time. Share if you feel like you want to. It's totally up to you. But essentially what we're going to be doing is writing down the words that represent all of the things in our lives. So all of the individuals who have really influenced you. And then you want to write down a belief about what they've given you. So for example, here, you might want to say dad, and the belief that they've told you is to respect your elders. Now, the third part of this is to put a star or a circle around the belief. So you're going to put a star next to the belief that you have purposely not adopted, and you're going to circle the ones that you are like, yep, I like this. So going back to our example, we have dad, we have respect your elders. I'm going to put a circle around that because I agree with it. Where if I have my nonna or grandmother, and the belief that she's taught me is to always put others first, I might put a star next to that, because I don't really believe that we should always put others first. I believe we should fill our own cup first. So I'm hoping you can follow along with this activity. Do it on your own time. And I'll take a few moments right now to do some of my own breaking the layers exercise as well. Like I mentioned, you're going to put the caregiver or person, the belief or situation, and then you're going to either star or circle. And it's okay to get very vulnerable with this. No one's seeing your screen. Obviously, you guys are seeing mine, but that's for the sake of the workshop. And feel free to do this at a later time as well if you want to take some more time to really think about your beliefs and your values. I'm going to go ahead here. I'll give you guys a few more minutes to do this on your own time. And while you're finishing that up, I'll just share my own personal experiences. And hopefully, this opens up some insight for you. And feel free to share anything that you've come across or recognized during this exercise. So you can see here, I've circled the mom, hard work pays off. This is something I agree with. I believe that when we work hard towards something that we love and enjoy, it will pay off in the end. It might not right away, but it'll eventually pay off. I put a star next to you need to keep at it and not take rest, work for what you want. The reason I put a star next to this was something that's been put on me since I was little by a lot of people in my life. And it's to really work hard and keep at it and continue to work hard. But what I've recognized over the years is that we can't really achieve unless we take time to rest. So that's when my best ideas come. That's when the creativity starts to flow in, is when I make time for self-care and rest. And then the last one here is family has really just told me that family comes first no matter what. And although I believe in components of this, I put a star next to it because I really do think that it matters how others treat you and treat others the way that you want to be treated. So if there are family members in your life who don't treat you well or make you feel like not the best person, for me personally, I don't think that it's necessarily my role or duty to put them first if they're not giving me that same respect back. So that's why I put a star next to that last belief. I'll give a quick second now for anyone to put in the chat if you liked the exercise, if you had any takeaways from the exercise, if you need any clarity moving forward, the chat is open for you to ask any of those questions. All right. Oh, did I just miss one? Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. So I had to include this piece of cake, A, because it looks phenomenal and I really need it. And B, it just goes to show how many layers there are to us, to life. So really breaking through those layers and recognizing those beliefs and changing them very slowly and compassionately gives you the opportunity to see the world from a whole new perspective and recognize who we are really deep down with it. It's a lot from a piece of cake, but I had to include it. All right, we are going into the present. So you have here a little namaste. It's really about being in the present, being here and recognizing what is happening in that moment and not thinking about the what ifs or the what if I did things differently. One big thing is limiting beliefs. Now, a limiting belief is a state of mind or belief about yourself that restricts you in some way. Everyone experiences limiting beliefs, but learning how to identify them can help you proactively prevent these beliefs from limiting you. So we went through those beliefs in the previous exercise. I'm now going to show you how you can really change those beliefs to follow through with your passions and purposes in your life. So we're going to do an activity together. I want you to sit up straight in your chair or on your bed or wherever you are. Just make sure there's some room around you for you to move your arms. So I like to call this the kicking the BS to the side. And the BS is our belief systems. So we're going to start by pointing our finger forward. And we're going to move our finger on a count of 3 as far as we can. So we're going to move it as far as we can until we kind of feel that stiffness in our shoulders. And that's when we stop, okay? So point forward, and on a count of 3, we're going to move to the side. 1, 2, 3. All right. So I have a window in the room that I'm in. I'm pointing directly at the window. And I want you to remember where you're pointing. So take note of it and remember where you pointed. I want you to come back to your middle stance. And I want you to close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Don't open your eyes until I tell you. So we're going to close our eyes, get a little vulnerable here, and take 3 deep breaths together. 1, 2, 3. And I want you to visualize you doing that exact same thing with your hand, but going further than you did. So I'm going to visualize pointing all the way to the plant behind me. I'm going to imagine my hand going up and around and going further than it did the last time. I want you to really stick with it for a moment and think about yourself doing that. Take 3 deep breaths, really, really thinking about that. 1, 2, 3. Think I can. I want you to, without opening your eyes, put your hand back out in front of you exactly like you did the first time. And on a count of 3, we're going to do the exact same thing and see how much further we go. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes. So I pointed to the plant behind me, and I thought that this was the furthest that I could go. So I like to do this exercise during this workshop because it really opens the doors to how much our mindset and our thoughts shape our beliefs, and how much we as powerful people have the opportunity to change and shift that. I do want to add in my little memes here because I have to include them. Clearly, clearing limiting beliefs, like we're going to destroy them. And when limiting beliefs come in, we're going to let them go and go far, far away. So it's a nice exercise to remember the power of our brain and our thoughts. And it's also an exercise that a lot of professional athletes use before going on the ice or going to play a game, because it really changes their beliefs about scoring that goal or winning that game. So just a nice thing to integrate, even maybe before a job interview, before doing a school exam, before absolutely anything in your life that's going to be a little bit challenging or against the norm that you're used to. When you're uncomfortable, changing that mindset and changing those thoughts is a great opportunity. All right, we're going to take a deep breath and go into the future. So this is the last chapter of the workshop today. And looking at the future is fun. It's exciting. It's about planning and thinking about how we can integrate some of the things you've learned into our daily lives. So the past and the present, it's a lot about going deep within. It's doing some really, really hard stuff. We're looking at the future is a little bit more exciting. Now, the future is all about discovering your passions. And there's 4 different categories of passion development. So discovering passion, category 1, is things that you are skilled at but have no passion for. So I want you to think about things that you're skilled at but don't really have a passion for. For me, it would be like social media. I'm pretty skilled at doing social media posts, being engaged on social media, making a pretty page, making some pretty content, but I don't really have a passion for it. It doesn't fuel my light. It doesn't make me feel excited inside. So think about for you what's in your category 1. And in that worksheet that was provided in the chat, there is an opportunity for you to fill it in as we go. Category 2 is our gold star. This is where we want to live always, is things that you are skilled at and have a passion for. So for me, I think workshops is something in category 2. It's something that I've really put some effort into learning how to speak, how to make it engaging and exciting. It's something that I feel more skilled at. Obviously, I'm still learning, but something that I'm skilled at and I have a passion for, because it really does excite me and make me happy and fuel that light inside of me. So passion 2 is our gold standard. It's where we want to be. Number 3 is things that you are not skilled at and lack a passion for. So these are things that you want to stay away from, and that's okay. We're not going to be good at everything. So staying away from things is totally okay. It's about recognizing what we want to stay away from. Cool. And lastly, number 4, category 4, is things that you lack skill at but have a passion for. This is my personal favorite category because it means that there's opportunity for learning and growing. So things that fall within category 4 are things that you can really change and learn a new skill on or take a course. It's giving you that passion. It's fueling your light. You just don't feel very confident in it yet. So it has a lot of potential. So for sake of time, we're not going to do the exercise, but I will quickly show you what it looks like. And I encourage you on your own time to take a moment to think about what goes into each category. So category 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the follow-up for this worksheet is thinking about how you can spend more time and energy in category 2. So for me, I mentioned workshops fall under category 2. So I'm constantly seeking opportunities to do workshops in the community, whether it be for a school, whether it be for a community organization or a conference like today. Just going out and seeking those opportunities to feel a little bit more fulfilled in that passion. All right. Had to tie in a few more memes just because we need a little laugh. Life is too serious. So the moment when you find your passion is super exciting. It means you're fueling that light inside of you, you're following within your purpose, and you're one step closer to being that authentic you. And what's a passion project? I want a passion project. When you are following in your passion, you are contagious. You are excited. You are giving off this energy to others and really empowering and encouraging others to also follow suit in that same path. So now what? I gave you all of these strategies. I gave you all of these tools and techniques. But what am I going to do with this? Hopefully, I pray that you have learned at least one thing that you want to integrate in your life. And I want to take the moment right now for you to think about your intention statement. So this is a goal or an objective that you really want to meet moving forward. So for me, it might be, I want to integrate journaling a little bit more frequently in my life, or I want to work with a professional to do some inner child healing, or simply I want to feel fulfilled in 5 years. And I want to make sure that all of the things that I do are in alignment with feeling fulfillment. So take a moment right now. There is a page on that worksheet for you to fill in your intention statement. Also, please feel free to share your intention statement in the chat. I love to see the intention statements that everyone is thinking about and wants to have moving forward. Another great thing that you can do is put it up in your mirror at home when you're getting ready in the morning as a nice little reminder to integrate some of these things in your life. Open the chat here. Need to do more journaling. Absolutely. That's a good one. Journaling is a nice safe space for you to really start integrating some of these strategies without feeling overwhelmed. It's a nice way to test the waters. That actually brings me to this slide here, which is perfect timing. Thank you so much, Bernard. That goes into my Dear Little Journal Prompt workbook. So if anyone is interested in the journal prompt workbook, it's 60 days of journaling. That'll take you through all of these different strategies in a more laid out, consistent manner. Anyone else want to share any intention statements before we wrap up? Or any questions at all, I guess. I want to be consistent and stand in my authenticity. I love that for you. I think we all want to aspire to be more authentic and more consistent in who we are. It's just really taking the time to be forgiving with ourselves to do that, because it can be very difficult. Any other questions?
Yeah, does anyone have any questions, any more statements for Andrea here before we end today's session? Well, thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Well, thank you very much, Andrea. This is great. They can find you, I'm assuming, on LinkedIn as well, and follow your Instagram page. I think it was YET Niagara. Is that correct?
Yeah, at Yet Niagara on Instagram and Facebook.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think I learned a lot about myself in this session. I hope that everyone else did. So a big thank you, and thank you for your time today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime. And for the attendees, this concludes the virtual portion of our Engage 2022 conference. Really hope you join us for our second part of the hybrid conference starting at 5 p.m. at Ironwood. I know I'll be there. I'm really excited to check out that new space. If you don't have your tickets yet, you're still able to get tickets. Just go to the register for 2022 tab and purchase tickets there. If you're not joining us this evening, thank you very much for joining the session this morning. I hope you learned a lot. I know I did. I gained a lot of insights today. And we really want to thank everyone for spending your morning with us. So from Next Niagara, thank you to everybody, and I hope to meet some of you this evening. Bye, everybody.